This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Wednesday, November 1st, 2023, and we're so glad you could join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will bring some comments from Terry Branstad, the former governor of the state of Iowa, also the former ambassador to the nation of China for the United States. And Governor Branstad was speaking last week here in Des Moines at a contract agreement ceremony and then also the contract signing ceremony for a purchase of soybeans that are headed to China in the future. Also, we will have a check of the ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the closing markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined by Tyler Schau of agmarket.net for our closing market analysis. Tyler, what did we see take place in the grains today?
Corn was under pressure basically all day from the word go. Soybeans traded positive again for the second day in a row, and wheat, after just taking a browbeating really for the last, seems like 100 years now, had a little bit of a positive day in the wheat, depending on what class of wheat you're looking at.
So, Tyler, as you look at how the day went, what did you point to for maybe why that corn number did take that movement to the upside?
The one thing that sticks out to me is ethanol. And ethanol futures trade quite a bit different than other grain futures and even energy futures. But the ethanol futures, the October contract went off yesterday and was replaced by the November, and there was quite an inverse there going forward. Anyhow, long story short, the nearby or the spot ethanol futures dropped about 20 cents a gallon yesterday. So for whatever reason, there's some weakness in that ethanol futures market. I think that just, there's just not a lot of pressure to go out and buy it. I will say ethanol margins are pretty strong, or at least, with the data we have access that we track with John Stewart and Associates. The margins are good. The ethanol report that came out today was somewhat friendly. Production was up, stocks were down, and gasoline demand, I wouldn't say was really either disappointing or exciting. It was just kind of right in the middle. But either way, it just feels like the ethanol plants aren't pushing real hard to continue to increase production, and as a result, they're not going out and chasing corn. So it's kind of what it felt like, because what was holding this market back, crude oil had a pretty tremendous sell-off yesterday. Crude oil had been at some pretty lofty levels. We got this war going on. It sold off. The war kicked back up. It rallied up, hit some highs there early last week. Yes, they broke through some, what I would consider some short-term support. So I'm sure that's weighing heavy on the ethanol market, which is just rolling back into the corn.
And then, Tyler, with the soybeans, it's kind of a story of where here for us in the United States, things are kind of coming together to work in the favor of the United States because, as we know, other areas of the world right now struggling with the soybean supply, the production of soybeans, mainly because of weather in South America.
Yeah, our production is pretty well wrapping up. Harvest pace is slowing down. I don't remember the exact numbers. I think we're over 3/4 of the way done with soybean harvest in the U.S. There are some bean acres up here in the northern plains that are sitting in some snowbanks, and we're going to have to see if it warms up so we can get those harvested. But for the most part, soybean harvest is wrapping up. So we're the known quantity in the world right now. South America is running out of old crop beans. So we're where they've got to go. I mean, we've talked a lot here recently on the troubles with the Mississippi River and the low water levels, pushing fewer bushels down just because of the draft restrictions. We're trying to max out the ability to move stuff to the P&W. But right now, the U.S. is the known quantity or the known location where we can go and get beans. The big question mark, everyone knows they're going to plant a lot of acres to soybeans in Brazil. The question is, what's the weather going to do? And right now, it's a tale of two sides, where the north is hot and dry, and the south is getting too much rain. So there are some concerns. I would warrant some caution on the soybean bulls. Um, it's early. The weather's really going to become more of a factor late November, December, and January. And I kind of, I want to point out, look what happened in the U.S. We had a very dry start to the growing season, got a lot of panic out there, pushed prices higher, which is, we need to be ready to take advantage of those opportunities if they exist. But we ended up with pretty good soybean yields throughout the country. So I wouldn't go out and say that just because they're having some struggles right now that the bean crop in South America is toast.
Switching over to the other side of the ag marketplace, what happened in the livestock complex today?
Cattle are just kind of that slow grind, trying to make up some of the ground that they lost after that cattle on feed report. Your December fats are getting closer. I think they got to get to 185 to fill that gap that started off there on the cattle on feed report last Monday. Hogs we're trying to rally. Had a pretty good one going over the last week or so, and have really struggled at the 50-day moving average here the last 3 days. Makes a run up to that moving average, and there's just a lot of selling pressure there. And it kind of felt like late in the day today, just the buyers just finally stepped away and got annoyed by the sellers, and that market's going to close down about $1.50 here today in December hogs.
Tyler, as we switch back to the cattle side of the livestock marketplace, over this past couple of weeks, since that difficult cattle on feed report in terms of what that meant for the marketplace, what kind of conversations have you been having with cattle producers?
There's a lot of questions because the cash market has remained strong on the fat side. In our office up here, we don't deal with a lot of cattle feeders in the northern plains here. Most of our cattle producers are cow calf producers. We focus a lot on feeder calves and feeder cattle sales. The sales have dropped off. The prices are quite a bit lower in barns than they were just 2 or 3 months ago, but they kind of feel like maybe they've settled here a little bit and finding some footing. It'll be interesting to see how these prices go over the next couple of weeks. There's going to be a big run of calves coming into sale barns here over the next, really probably 2 to 3 weeks. They got delayed a little bit with the winter storm, but I know just in my little neck of the woods, I've seen a lot of stock trailers driving up and down our gravel road, going and bringing the pairs home here the last few weeks. So I would assume we'll start to see a pretty good run of calves going through barns, and that'd be a good test of where this cash market is. But it does feel like maybe found some footing again, and I'm not going to say it's going to put in new highs, but at least kind of start drifting upwards. But again, I try to remind all of my customers that we're still in territory that we haven't seen very often in your life as a cattleman. So make sure you're using some good risk management strategies while we're here.
And speaking of that, Tyler, what is the best way for our viewers to get in touch with agmarket.net and maybe personalize their marketing plan?
Look us up on the internet, agmarket.net. There's a contact page. You can look up, find a broker in your area. And if they want to call direct, the number 701-987-6009.
Tyler Schau and the rest of the team at agmarket.net, happy to help you out. And now that the snow's already flying in North Dakota, Tyler's got a lot of time to help you with just that. Tyler, thanks so much for the time here today, and have a great day.
You bet. Take care, guys.
Thank you to Tyler Schau of agmarket.net for our closing market analysis. It is time now for a check of the closing numbers, and those numbers brought to us courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. December corn down 3 3/4 at $4.75 even. November soybeans up 4 1/4 at $12.91 1/4. January soybean meal up $1.10 at $4.19.10. January soybean oil down $1.44 at $49.39. Chicago wheat up 4 1/4 at $5.89 1/2. Minneapolis wheat unchanged at $7.28 1/2. Kansas City hard red wheat up 10 3/4 at $6.40 even, and March oats down 9 1/2 at $3.98 1/2. On the Merc, December live cattle up 7 cents at $183.62. November feeder cattle up 87 cents at $238.57. December lean hogs down $1.57 at $70.15. December pork cutout down 45 cents at $79.75, and Class 3 milk up 5 cents at $17.24. And that wraps up our closing market coverage here on Ag Matters PM. It's time now to take a break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff. And when we come back, I will have comments from former Iowa Governor Terry Branstad. That's coming up next here on Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
You're watching Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. In today's show, I have comments from Terry Branstad, who spoke at a contract agreement and signing ceremony for a purchase of soybeans headed to China, and that ceremony took place last week in Des Moines.
We look forward to the next 40 years of collaboration and further improving this working relationship and building on it, using agricultural trade as the ballast for this overall trade relationship, not just trade, between China and the United States. But I see this event happening here today, first time in many years we've had an event quite like this, as a great way to build on the relationships that I see our overall governments trying to form. So I look forward to that. This is a great example of being able to do that. We are so fortunate to have wonderful speakers here with us today, and I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who is hardly needs much introduction in this room. This is former Governor and Ambassador Terry Branstad, was the youngest governor in the United States, youngest person to be governor, longest serving governor, continued his service, was the ambassador in China at a challenging time in relationships, but did such a great job of that, and now is the head of the World Food Prize. So Ambassador Branstad, the stage is yours.
Jim Sutter, thank you for your leadership and thank you for your very generous introduction. Good afternoon. I'm real proud to be here among friends. I see many familiar faces today, and I'm looking forward to this very important session. Thanks for making your way to Des Moines during our Bordelog Dialogue. This is my first dialogue as president of the World Food Prize, and we're excited to honor Heidi Kuhn and focus on Norman Borlaug's legacy. There will be 1,300 people representing 76 countries at the Borlaug Dialogue. The work of the U.S. Soybean Export Council and its global partners and clients is aligned with the World Food Prize Foundation's mission and the Borlaug legacy. As you all know, I'm a strong proponent of free and equitable trade. In this time of rivalry and conflict, we have been reminded that agriculture trade links around the world and are essential. With reduced or interrupted global trade, hunger and poverty rises. Iowa is the second largest agriculture exporter of all the American states. This is because we have built global relationships coupled with sensible tax and trade environment. As ambassador to China, I helped build and strengthen the trade relationships with China that led to the Phase 1 trade agreement during that tenure. Even in times of geopolitical disagreements, trade must endure. Food and agriculture trade is essential for peace and prosperity. Food and water should never be used as weapons, but rather should be valued, shared, and traded equitably around the world. I look forward to these meetings and building the trade connections between the United States and China. Thank you all for being here.
Great. And thank you for your continued leadership. I recall I was in China during the time of the trade war, and we had an event, and Ambassador Branstad came to that event. And I think he was tireless in the amount of selfies that he would let people take with him. So his work in China was very important. Thank you for that.
And that was former Iowa Governor Terry Branstad. It is time now for a check of the Ag Weather Outlook. Last time I was in the host chair here on AMPM, I was telling you about how cool it was, how cold it felt for the end of October. Here today, we've already had a little bit of a warm-up to start November. Looking outside, the sun is shining here in central Iowa, and it does feel a few degrees warmer here today around the state. Tonight it is going to be a quiet evening with clear skies for the most part, and then tomorrow, another beautiful fall day that will in fact be even a little bit warmer. So let's turn our attention now to the National Weather Service and what's in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, mostly sunny skies and breezy today. High temperatures expected 42 to 49. Partly cloudy to mostly clear skies tonight. Low temperatures 24 to 30. Partly to mostly sunny skies and warmer for Thursday, with highs expected 47 to 56. And now taking a look at our affiliate weather map for tomorrow. Cherokee, mostly sunny and 47. Shenandoah, 56 and mostly sunny. Des Moines, mostly sunny and 55. Albia, mostly sunny and 54. Waterloo, partly sunny skies with a high around 51. Clinton, partly sunny and a high of 53. For a more detailed forecast in your part of the state, make sure and check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's going to do it for the Ag Weather Outlook. That also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also watch all of our videos on YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe while you're there and click on the notification icon that will let you know whenever we have any new videos available for you. You can also listen to our podcast, which we have twice free daily. Those are at Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Podbean as well. And you can, of course, follow us on social media at X, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.